All right. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome back to LTL Podcast. Kind of an impromptu popped up. I did have this stream scheduled for 4 p.m. today, but obviously we've had a lot of breaking news here in the Tupac Shakur murder trial. And I wanted to jump in really quick because there is a press conference that is due at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time today. So we got about 15 minutes. What I do want to do before we get into it, we're going to obviously get to that press conference. I think it's important to watch that. But I want to give you a little bit of a background of what's going on right now. So there has been an arrest in the Tupac Shakur. I'll get this out. Believe me. I'll get this out today. In the Tupac Shakur murder trial, we're awaiting in about 12 minutes. US Today is going to go live and we will watch the press conference. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Come in. So right now, Las Vegas, one of the last living witnesses in the fatal 1996 drive-by shooting of Tupac Shakur in Las Vegas, has been charged with murder in use of deadly weapon Friday in the 1996 killing. A long-awaited break in the case has frustrated investigators and fascinated the public ever since the hip-hop icon was gunned down 27 years ago. In a Nevada grand jury indicted Duane Keffe D. Davis in the killing, prosecutors announced in court Friday. Oh gosh, excuse me. Chief Deputy District Attorney, I'm going to hopefully get this name right, Mark Diagicomo, said a grand jury had been seated in the case for several months. Diagicomo described Davis as the on-ground, on-site commander who ordered the death of Shakur. The charges revealed hours after Davis, 60, was arrested this morning while walking near his home, according to Diagicomo. I think I got that right. All right, I have a quick video here from ABC News that just updated about an hour ago. We're going to wait to see when this live press conference comes up, and then we'll watch that. But let's get a little review here into actually what's going on. And we'll hear it from ABC News.
Breaking news, an arrest has been made in connection with the Tupac Shakur murder. Las Vegas police have arrested a man on suspicion of murder in that 1996 drive-by shooting of the famous rapper. For more, let's get straight to our ABC's Tim Pulliam, also ABC News contributor Mike Muse, and ABC News legal contributor and trial attorney Brian Buckmeyer. Tim, let's just start with you. Tell us what we know at this time as we get this information.
So, Kira, this is very late-breaking information, but what we know right now from police sources is that Duane Davis has been arrested. He is being booked right now. We don't know what his charges are, but they are forthcoming. And this is someone that is known to investigators. You may recall that Duane Davis put in a 2019 memoir that he was in the Cadillac, the white vehicle that pulled up beside Suge Knight and Tupac on that Las Vegas Strip. But it's not clear yet who is the actual shooter, but we know that he was in the car according to his own words. So again, he is being booked. He's going to be charged. We don't know those charges at the moment. Now, all of this began when back in July, police in Las Vegas went to a home right outside of the city to do a raid. They did a search. It's not clear what they were looking for, but we know that they were looking for items in connection to Tupac's murder. So that was back in July, and now here we are with an arrest. Kira.
So, Mike, let's talk about what this means in the grand scheme of things. And I know, Brian, you can weigh in on this as well. I'll have both of you weigh in on this because the three of us have covered this story over a period of more than a decade. That this is very different from the man that's been talked about that is the alleged shooter. That person, and I won't name that person, clearly you guys can if you want, he's no longer alive. So now that this arrest has been made, what do we think that Davis knows about who actually killed Tupac Shakur and just the outcome that could happen here after such a long and complicated investigation? Brian, let's start with you, and then Mike, I'll take it to you.
Yeah, so Duane Davis, or Keffe D, as many people know him to be, has long said that he knows who the shooter is. And even Suge Knight, I believe, has come out and said he knows who the shooter is. Suge Knight being the man who was in the vehicle with Tupac when he was shot and killed. But, so to speak, the code of the streets, they've never said it. We've seen memoirs from Keffe D come out talking about it. And that's probably what was seized when they executed that search warrant of his home just a few months ago. It's bizarre that we're getting charges now. A lot of information, at least at this point, we have known for many, many years. My curiosity is, what did they find in those search warrants that led us here? But yeah, I don't think we found Tupac's shooter. At best, we arrested the person who said he was there, and maybe the pressure of the law would give us the answers.
So, Mike, what are your thoughts right now? Because as we all know, there has been a specific LAPD detective for years that has come forward and named who he thinks the shooter is. So how do you see this evolving now?
Yeah, Kira, well, this has been a case that has been part of the pop culture ethos for quite some time. The battle, the idea, and this narrative between East Coast and West Coast rap came upon with Tupac and Biggie Smalls, and they dominated not only the charts, but then they also too dominated the headlines in their murders and Gone Too Soon. Tupac was a prolific rapper and MC,
Hashtag
artist,
arrest,
poet, dancer, actor, someone who was
trending
really well
on
read,
Twitter.
Whose lyrics today still serve such a blueprint into culture
Twitter.
and to society. And so this is why his death has always loomed us for so long over what actually happened to it. There was conversations, Kira, you and I have talked about this, where there's two types of justice that goes around in culture. There is justice that happens in the courtroom, and then there is this narrative of justice that happens in the streets, in the code of the streets, in the code of silence, of not wanting to engage with law enforcement. With the latter being said, a lot of individuals already knew who they believe was the shooter. All accounts too, in a BET interview given by Duane Keffe D, he implicated that it was his nephew that actually shot Tupac Shakur, Orlando Davis, who is no longer with us, who died shortly thereafter the murder happened. But to this day, there was 4 individuals who were actually placed in that car. And we got all these details because Keffe D actually wrote a book about it. And he actually started doing media campaigns around the late 2018. He started speaking because he was facing another charge that was dealing with drugs and drugs possession, where he was facing a lifetime. And so he ultimately gave, I wouldn't say a plea deal, but started giving information that could give information to this case in hopes to lessen his sentencing that was done. And so as a result of all the talking that he's done, he's one of the last remaining individuals that was in a car who actually knows what happened. And so to what Brian said, I'll be curious to see what did they find in the search warrant that led for them to actually place him under arrest.
Right, because the memoir Compton Street Legend that he wrote and did make these allegations, you know, it's been out for a while. So just quickly, Brian, what is it that you think finally could have happened all these years later, even with that memoir that was put out where Davis said he knew who shot and killed Tupac Shakur? What is it that it could possibly be?
So, as most of you know who have written books, I know Tim is working on a great book that's coming out. what you write and design doesn't often always get into the book. And so if they do a search warrant of his home and they get the kind of rough notes, so to speak, the pieces that didn't make the book, and it becomes a lot clearer picture that he was an accessory after the fact, that could lead to charges. Also, the memoir could be a violation of a previous plea agreement where they might have deferred prosecution if he didn't basically snitch on himself. But him opening his mouth and writing a memoir and all these interviews, that could have opened the floodgates to prosecution and the search warrant as well.
Tim, Mike, Brian, appreciate it. I know we got you at the last minute there, but it's a story we have continued to cover and will continue to. Even our special Who Shot Pac, the murder of Tupac Shakur, it's now streaming on Hulu. New episodes of Impact by Nightline drop every Thursday, by the way. We'll stay on the story.
All right, let's get over to here. We have the press conference that's going to start soon. We'll wait that press conference on USA. I'm all over the place today. USA Today. We will wait that. Welcome in, everybody. There has been an arrest. Duane Keffe D. Davis arrested in Tupac Shakur murder. It's crazy. You start to think about this, about the advancements in technology with investigations. And, you get to go back to a lot of just real boots on the ground investigating in this case, and probably with some modern technology as well, that we've have all these advancements in police investigations, which is great. So we'll wait here. We'll wait for the stream to start, and it's about 2 minutes. Absolutely. I wouldn't miss this for the world. Thanks for being here. I hope the room can fill in. YouTube, you need to fix your notifications. I know I have 10,000 people on this channel subscribed and 35 people in here. That's a big disparity, and that's a big it's a big miscue on YouTube. You need to fix this damn algorithm. Annoying. It's very annoying as a creator. All right, hopefully this press conference takes off in a minute or so, and we will wait. We will wait the police briefing. Maybe they take some questions. I'm not sure, but there will be something. And then tonight I'll be back at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to continue my coverage of Karen Reed. We're going to play the latest courtroom trial pre-trial motion, and we'll get through that this evening. That stream will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. All right, we're waiting USA Today to start their stream. I'm going to look and see if there's anything out there across the YouTube space to see if there's another live stream right now going. I don't see anything yet. Let's see. I have other people streaming, but I want to see. Let's see. Associated Press. All right, I'm going to go to the Associated Press feed. They're already up and live. Here we go. AP reporting. Welcome in, everybody. I actually, by the way, I have I have a Karen Reed video dropping at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. You're not going to want to miss that either. All right, let's go turn the volume up, get to this. Hey, do you mind if I move this out?
No. To be honest, they told me you were already here. But I'm you guys about ready for my check? You guys about ready for my check? No, not at all. Mic check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check 3, 4. Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not getting any audio. Check. Go ahead and plug into a malt box if you can. Check 3, 4. Mic check 1, 2, 1, 3, 4. Check 3, 4. Mic check 1, Check 1, 2. Good? Good? Well, give me thumbs up if you guys are getting audio. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. Are you good over there?
Yeah, what's going on?
Check. Beautiful. Check. 3, 4. Mic check.
Raw
1,
and
2,
unfiltered,
3,
right?
4. Check. Are you guys good with the white bounce?
No.
Not yet.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, just like if we recognize you.
Check 3, 4. Mic check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check. Check 3, 4. Mic check 1, 2.
Microphone
1, 2, 3,
checking,
4.
microphone
Check.
checking.
Check 3, 4. Mic check. Everybody good now? Check 3, 4. Mic check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check 3, 4. Mic check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check. Everybody good?
Yeah, they just wanted to call, have you call and check in. I had a quick question.
Check. Check 3, 4. Mic check.
Which slide?
3.
Mic check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check.
Oh my God. Couldn't do this
It's all
all
good?
before we went live.
Okay, everything sounds all right.
White good?
Yep.
Beautiful.
And just to let you guys know, there will be no live shots in here after the press conference. Okay? If you guys want to do any live shots, go ahead and do it in the lobby or up front.
If you guys can do us a favor and go ahead and silence your phones. You ready? All right, good afternoon. My name is Kevin McMahill. I'm the sheriff of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. 27 years. 27 years. For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice. We are here today to announce the arrest of 60-year-old Duane Keith Davis, aka Keffe D, for the murder of Tupac Shakur.
Here you go, folks.
Davis was arrested this morning by my LVMPD criminal apprehension team, and this investigation started on the night of September 7th, 1996. It is far from over.
There you have
It
it.
has taken countless hours, really decades, of work by the men and women of our homicide section to get to where we are
Welcome in,
today.
everybody. Sorry, I'm a little distracted.
Several of those detectives that are standing here with us include Detective Cliff Mogg, the lead detective on this case. He is now retired. While I know there's been many people who did not believe that the murder of Tupac Shakur was important to this police department, I'm here to tell you that was simply not the case. It was not the case back then, and it is not the case today. Our goal at LVMPD has always been to hold those accountable and responsible for Tupac's violent murder accountable. Just like we do for every homicide victim in our city. Every single victim, every life that is lost is important and remains a priority to this police department. As we methodically built this case to move forward with an arrest, it was also important that at the same time, we're building towards a successful prosecution. We work closely with our esteemed district attorney, Steve Wolfson, in his office to ensure that is going to happen. Mr. Davis's own words reinvigorated our case in 2018. I'm going to give you some of those details, and I'm going to introduce to you our homicide lieutenant, Jason Johansson, and he will provide you many of the details on how we got here today.
Thank you, Sheriff, and thank you, everybody, for being here today. My name is Jason Johansson, and I'm the homicide lieutenant with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. And my goal here today is to walk you through our investigation and what led us to the indictment of Duane Davis, also known as Keffe D, for the murder of Tupac Shakur. This case has been reviewed by our homicide team and homicide detectives for over 2.5 decades. And ultimately, our persistence in this investigation has paid off. Let me walk you through a timeline of events.
Here's the timeline.
As we know them right now. Prior to September 7th of 1996, as we all know, Tupac Shakur was an artist who was signed with Death Row Records. And that Death Row Records and its CEO, Marion Suge Knight, were closely affiliated with the Mob Piru criminal street gangs, and that they had an ongoing feud with the Southside Compton Crips. Duane Davis was the leader and shot caller of the Southside Compton Crips. And both of these gangs operated out of the Southern California area of Compton. On the night of September 7th of 1996, Tupac Shakur, along with Suge Knight, and members of their entourage, which include members of Mob Piru, came to Vegas to attend the Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Members of the Southside Compton Crips, which included Duane Davis, along with his nephew Orlando Anderson, were also in attendance at the same event. As both were leaving the fight, members of Death Row Records spotted Orlando Anderson near an elevator bank inside the MGM, and at that time they began to kick and punch him near that elevator bank. I will now show you hotel security footage, as many of you have already seen, related to this incident. And on this incident, you will see Tupac Shakur, who's wearing a shiny satiny shirt, along with Marion Suge Knight, who's a large man in a brown suit, punching and kicking Orlando Anderson. Following this incident, you'll see hotel security intervene, and then they will leave the area of the fight.
Can't fucking see it. That's great.
Little did anyone know that it is this incident right here that would ultimately lead.
I spoke out loud for everybody.
To the retaliatory shooting and death of Tupac Shakur. Following this incident, Tupac and Suge Knight both left the MGM to make their way to a post-fight party, which was to occur at a local nightclub. At the same time, word had spread amongst.
I got a better feed. I'm going to go to really quick.
Of what had occurred.
Full screen feed here.
Duane Davis began to devise a plan to obtain a firearm and retaliate against Suge Knight and Mr. Shakur for what occurred inside the hotel against Mr. Anderson.
Okay.
After Davis obtained a gun.
I got a better feed. I just lost it again. Good job. Good job, Brian. You're doing great. Doing great today. Fumbling all over the place. All right. I got the feed. Holy schmolies.
At some point in time.
Oh, it's so stressful.
In the white Cadillac, Mr. Davis took the gun that he had obtained and provided it to the passengers in the rear seat of the vehicle.
All right. I'm going to back up just a little bit. So I want to go back. All right. We'll go back about 2 minutes. All right. Here we go. Because we missed this.
To obtain a firearm and retaliate against Suge Knight and Mr. Shakur for what occurred inside the hotel against Mr. Anderson. After Davis obtained a gun, he entered into a white Cadillac along with Terrence Brown, DeAndre Smith, and Orlando Anderson. Based on our investigation, this is where we know they were seated.
Everybody's dead.
Time, as they were in the white Cadillac, Mr. Davis took the gun that he had obtained and provided it to the passengers in the rear seat of the vehicle. As they were driving west on Flamingo Road near Koval, they located the black BMW, which was driven by Suge Knight, and in the passenger seat was Tupac Shakur. And as they turned around, they pulled up near the passenger side of that vehicle and immediately began shooting at Mr. Knight and Mr. Shakur. Following that shooting, the white Cadillac fled the area southbound on Koval, and after officers arrived on scene, Tupac was later transported to the University Medical Center, where he was treated medically and died approximately 6 days later on September 13th. My homicide section handled this investigation from its onset, and for a short amount of time, And within a short amount of time, what we knew was that we were working in a gang investigation where our victims, our witnesses, and our suspects were all from Southern California and not local to Las Vegas. Within the first few months of the investigation, our detectives knew most of the information I just briefed you on. However, we never had the necessary evidence to bring this case forward and present it for criminal charges. As time went on, this case had been reviewed multiple times by different investigators assigned to my section, but it wasn't until 2018 that this case was reinvigorated as additional information came to light related to this homicide. Specifically, Duane Davis's own admissions to his involvement in this homicide investigation that he provided to numerous different media outlets. In our section, we knew at this time that this was likely our last time to take a run at this case to successfully solve this case and bring forth a criminal charge. It was at that time that this case was assigned to Cliff Mogg, a detective within my homicide section. And over the last 5 years, my section worked closely, hand in hand with the Clark County District Attorney's Office and followed a systematic investigative plan. We've conducted countless interviews and corroborated numerous facts that were not only consistent with the crime scene on the night of the incident, but also corroborated and were consistent with the sequence of events that night. This ultimately led to us procuring a search warrant, which was executed at Mr. Davis's residence in Henderson, Nevada. And following the execution of that search warrant, in close coordination with the District Attorney's Office, this case was presented to the grand jury, which ultimately led to Davis being indicted on charges of murder. Before I hand it off to the District Attorney's Office, I would be remiss if I didn't thank Detective Mogg and all the other detectives that were not only assigned this case and reviewed this case, but all the other detectives from other agencies that assisted us in this investigation. They know who they are, and thank you very much for all the assistance you provided. It does not go unnoticed. And lastly, one of the most important things, in my opinion, is that we need to make this be a reminder that the charge of murder does not have a statute of limitations. This agency has been and is invested in solving our cold case homicides so that we can bring closure to those families and justice for those victims of homicide. And with that, I will turn it over to the Clark County District Attorney, Steve Wilson.
Thank you, Lieutenant Johansson. I appreciate it. Good afternoon. I am the Las Vegas Clark County District Attorney, Steve Wolfson. It has often been said, justice delayed is justice denied. It's a quote we hear often and for many, many years when talking about our legal system, but not in this case. Today, justice will be served in the murder of Tupac Shakur. I'd like to acknowledge the relentless work of the many Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department homicide detectives. We've mentioned Detective Cliff Mogg many times, and we can't mention his name enough. He is the detective, along with his colleagues, that brought this case here today to you. A Clark County grand jury has indicted Duane Keith Davis with one count of open murder with use of a deadly weapon with a gang enhancement. Davis will appear in court in the next few days or so for a hearing to determine his custody status and to set a jury trial date. This grand jury has been receiving evidence for months and has determined there is sufficient evidence to justify the filing of this criminal indictment. I've assigned two of my top prosecutors, Mark DiGiacomo and Banu Palal, to prosecute this case. I know a lot of people have been watching and waiting for this day. Tupac Shakur is a music legend, and for a long time, this community and worldwide have been wanting justice for Tupac. Today, we are taking that first step. Tupac was actually quoted as saying, Death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside while still alive. Never surrender. Well, we didn't surrender thanks to the great work of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department under the leadership of Sheriff Kevin McMahill, Lieutenant Johansson, retired Detective Cliff Mogg. I am proud to announce the return of this document. This is the indictment we've been waiting almost 3 decades for.
That's cool.
It spells out the facts and circumstances.
Wow.
And what justifies
Cool.
the Clark County grand jury in returning an indictment. Justice will be served.
It's cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I just like to say that the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Homicide Section year over year solves over 90% of the homicides that occur in our jurisdiction. You won't find that anywhere else in the United States. For those family members that have lost somebody that we haven't solved that case, I want you to know, just like in this case, we're not going to give up. I also say to you that as we begin, we're going to take a couple of questions. I want you to remember in your questioning that this investigation, subsequent arrest, and now indictment is only the beginning of the process. And we are committed and invested in ensuring a successful prosecution as we move forward. So with that, we'll take any questions that you might have.
Sheriff, have you been, excuse me, Sheriff, thank you. Have you been in touch with the Shakur family, anyone within here today? And if so, can you characterize what they told you?
The family has reached out to my office. I imagine also to Metro. We've been in communication with them. We understand that they are welcoming this news. They are pleased with this news, and they are certainly aware of the return of this indictment.
Do you anticipate them being at court for arraignment of Mr. Davis?
I don't think they'll be at the arraignment. I mean, that's a relatively short hearing, but I know that they'll be involved. I know that they'll want to be apprised of what goes on a frequent basis.
Back.
Can you talk about any of the statements that you made that piqued your curiosity or got you back into this case?
Jason, you want to answer that? We're not going to talk about any particular statements, but maybe he can address that for me.
What I'll say is there's a lot that's going to come out when it comes time for trial, but he provides his own series of statements that are very consistent with the evidence that we have on the scene that we've obtained through our investigation. I'll leave it at that.
Can you identify anything that came from the raid, the service of the warrant in July that you didn't know before?
Yeah, that's a good question. What I'll say about the search warrant that we did in July, that we obtained information or evidence during that execution of that search warrant that corroborated information obtained through our investigation. And I'll leave it at that until we go to trial.
Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Tiffany Ling with Channel 3. So I know that this was obviously a big move. Is there anyone else being looked at this point? I know a lot of people have passed away since this incident, but is anyone else being looked at as part of this investigation still?
So as I stated earlier, in this case, the only living suspect related to this investigation is Duane Davis. All other suspects are deceased.
Vanessa.
Thank you. Vanessa Murphy, Channel 8. Steve, can you talk about the murder charge if he is not the one believed to have pulled the trigger?
Yes, well, under Nevada law, and this is the law in most states in this country, you can be charged with a crime whether you're directly involved or whether you're an aider and abetter. We have an aiding and abetting statute, which provides that if you help somebody commit a crime, you can be equally as guilty. The best example is two guys that agree to commit a bank robbery. And one of them goes into the bank with a gun and actually commits the robbery. And the other guy is the getaway driver. Never went in the bank, but he assisted the guy that went in the bank. So he's equally guilty. That is one of the theories in this case as well.
Last question.
Do investigators believe that Davis was the only person behind the plan to kill Tupac, or was he one of multiple people who came up with this plan?
I think the best way to characterize that is Duane Davis was the shot caller for this group of individuals that committed this crime, and he orchestrated the plan that was carried out to commit this crime.
And can you say how he obtained the gun or who he obtained it from?
We know that he obtained it from a close associate. That a lot of the actual details of who specifically, all that come out at trial, but he obtained it from a close associate.
Thank you for coming.
Lieutenant, can you say if Mr. Davis has said anything since his arrest?
That's
Mr.
it.
Wilson, Steve?
That's all you're going to get. Quick in and out. Quick in and out. The old in out. That's it. And they cut the feed. Gave us the old quick in out. Try to get my camera to readjust here. All right. That is the late and breaking news. Duane Keffe D. Davis indicted on a murder charge for the murder of rapper Tupac Shakur. Well, good news there. I'm glad that after 27 years of a lot of speculation, a lot of people coming out, a lot of books that have been read, written, movies that have been put out, documentary series, articles, podcasts, just crazy, and that's what I was talking about earlier is that, boots on the ground is really what you had back in 1996. Now with so much advancement in technology, and I'm pretty sure that old-fashioned boots on the ground police work got this done. I don't see any crazy, updated police technology, but maybe it did assist in this. I had heard, I think there was reports a couple of weeks ago or months ago, I reported on this, that they actually possibly located the murder weapon at this guy's house, or a rumor was that they knew who the murder weapon was. And I think that's what led them to ultimately arresting Duane Keffe D. Davis. So all good news there. Really quick jump in this afternoon just to give everybody the live press conference and see what everybody had to think on this case. I'll be back tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you wait till this stream ends, it'll take you right over to the reminder. Get your butts in here. Get your eyes on the Karen Reed murder trial, John O'Keefe murder trial. It's very, very, very important. I'm going to be digging my heels deep into it. I still cannot believe, I'm going to go off here a little bit. I cannot believe that there are these channels that continue to pump out Idaho content. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but they are twisting and turning every bit in this case to see if they can get some clicks and views. It's amazing. It is amazing. All right. I'm going to get off here. I'm going to take off. I'll be back here in a couple of hours. Hope that you all can join me. Like I said, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. And hopefully, no, I know we will. We'll get through the most present pretrial motion in the Karen Reed case. Yeah, I'm telling you, go check this out. Check out my content on it. Check out my lives. It'll blow your mind. I have the PCA on my community page. Read it. It's very important. If just as important as the Idaho 4 case, probably just even more important than the Idaho 4 case. You need to dig your heels into this case. I promise you. All right. I'll see you guys all back here, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I need to return some phone calls, some text, some emails, all that fun stuff. I promise I will. Thank you all. Talk to you soon. Bye.